Texas has nearly 1,000 ghost towns, more than any other state in America. Let that sink in. Almost 1,000 places where people once lived, laughed, and built entire lives, and then vanished. But these 10? These are the emptiest of them all. One town was swallowed whole by a lake, and it only rises from the water when the drought gets bad enough. Another was wiped off the map by 2 hurricanes, just 11 years apart. One was so completely abandoned that you could literally buy the entire town for the price of a small house. What happened here? Why did thousands of people just walk away and never look back? Some were killed by a single highway. Some were poisoned by the very thing that made them rich. And the last one on this list, it secretly gave birth to one of the biggest universities in Texas. Stay till the end. Number 1, Terlingua. Picture this. A cluster of crumbling stone houses baking under a brutal desert sun, empty doorways that open into nothing, a graveyard of wooden crosses leaning in the wind. This is Terlingua, sitting just north of Big Bend in far west Texas. And trust me, it was not always this quiet. Rewind to the mid-1880s. Prospectors come digging through this harsh, rocky land, and they strike something valuable: cinnabar. Now, cinnabar might not sound exciting, but it's the ore that gives us mercury, also called quicksilver. Back then, mercury was worth serious money, and word spread fast. Almost overnight, this empty stretch of desert exploded into a booming mining town. At its peak, Terlingua pulsed with more than 2,000 people, miners, families, shop owners, all chasing that shiny silver fortune buried in the hills. There were stores, a school, a church, a whole community thriving in the middle of nowhere. But here's the dark, twisted part. The very thing that made Terlingua rich was slowly killing it. Mercury is highly poisonous. The miners breathing those fumes and handling that ore day after day were quietly paying with their health. The town was literally built on beautiful poison. Then the market crashed. When mercury demand collapsed and the mines stopped paying, the people did the only thing they could. They packed up and walked away, leaving their homes, their tools, and their memories behind to rot in the sun. Here's something interesting though. Terlingua never fully died. A small, quirky community has grown back around the ruins, and every year the town throws a famous chili cook-off that draws thousands of visitors. So if you ever want to walk these haunted streets yourself, here's a practical tip. Go in the cooler months, somewhere between fall and early spring. Summer temperatures out here can climb past 100 degrees and turn genuinely dangerous. Terlingua doesn't forgive carelessness. It never did. Number 2, Thurber. Most ghost towns die slowly. They fade away inch by inch over decades. But Thurber practically vanished on command. And what happened here is genuinely shocking. Let's set the scene. It's the 1920s and Thurber is booming. But this wasn't a normal town. This was a company town, meaning a single coal and brick-making company owned everything. The houses, the stores, the streets, the saloons. If you lived in Thurber, you didn't just work for the company, you basically lived inside it, and it was massive. At its peak, Thurber buzzed with as many as 10,000 people. Even more surprising? For its time, this town was way ahead of the curve. It was fully electrified and completely unionized when most of the South had neither. Workers from all over the world poured in to dig coal and bake the bricks that literally paved Texas cities. So what went wrong? One word: oil. When the railroads switched from burning coal to burning oil, Thurber's entire reason for existing disappeared overnight. The company didn't slowly wind things down, they just shut it all off. And because the company owned everything, when they pulled out, there was nothing left to stay for. People left so fast it's almost hard to believe. By the late 1930s, this town of 10,000 souls had become a virtual ghost town. And here's the number that'll stick with you. By the year 2000, the official population of Thurber was just 8 people. 8. There's a powerful, practical lesson buried in Thurber's dust, and it still applies to us today. Never build your entire life around a single employer. When that one company goes, everything tied to it can go with it. Today, a few old buildings and a towering smokestack still stand along the highway. Silent reminders of a thriving city that the modern world simply switched off and walked away from. Number 3, Glen Rio. Here's a town with a serious identity crisis. Glen Rio sits directly on the Texas-New Mexico border, so literally split down the middle that part of the town is in one state and part is in another. One side even ran on different time than the other. Confusing? Absolutely. But that quirk was once part of its charm. Let's go back to Glen Rio's glory days. For decades, this little town sat on one of the most famous stretches of road in American history. Route 66, the legendary Mother Road. Back then, Route 66 was the way to travel west, and millions of people rolled right through Glen Rio on their great American road trip. And Glen Rio was ready for them. Gas stations, diners serving hot food to hungry travelers, bright motel signs glowing in the desert night, promising a soft bed to weary drivers. This town lived and breathed off the endless river of cars flowing past its front door. As long as Route 66 was busy, Glen Rio thrived. Then came the moment that killed it. In the early 1970s, the government built Interstate 40, the big, fast, modern highway. And here's the gut punch. The new interstate bypassed Glen Rio completely. No exit, no off-ramp, no reason for anyone to stop. Overnight, that endless river of customers simply dried up. Think about that. The town didn't burn down. It wasn't hit by a storm. It was killed by a road being built just a little too far away. The cars kept coming. They just stopped stopping. Today, Glen Rio is a protected historic district with around 17 abandoned buildings standing in eerie silence beside the old cracked roadbed, faded gas pumps, a ghostly motel, signs advertising rooms nobody will ever rent again. Here's a practical tip if you're a road trip lover. You can still visit. Look for Exit 0 off Interstate 40, and you can walk among the bones of a town that the modern highway left behind. Number 4, Indianola. Of every town on this entire list, none fell harder than Indianola, because this wasn't some tiny, struggling outpost. This was a town with big city dreams, and the sea crushed every single one of them. Travel back to the mid-1800s. Indianola is a booming port city on Matagorda Bay on the Texas coast, and it is thriving. Ships pour in from across the ocean. It becomes a major gateway into Texas, one of the main spots where waves of German immigrants and others first set foot on Texas soil to start brand new lives. Goods, people, and money flow through its docks every single day. Indianola was so successful, it actually rivaled Galveston. People genuinely believed this could become one of the great cities of Texas. The ambition was real. The future looked unstoppable. And then the water came for it. In 1875, a powerful hurricane slammed into Indianola, killing hundreds and leveling much of the town. Devastating. But the people didn't give up. They were tough. They rebuilt, brick by brick, determined to bring their city back. Then came the final blow. On August 19, 1886, a second monster hurricane roared in off the Gulf. And as if that wasn't cruel enough, the storm was followed by a fire that swept through what little was left standing. 2 disasters in one terrible stretch. After that, the people were done. Indianola was never rebuilt again. Today, where a bustling port city once stood, there's almost nothing left. A historical marker, a few scattered foundations, and a lonely statue of explorer LaSalle staring out over the very bay that destroyed everything. There's a sobering lesson here that we're still wrestling with today. Building right on the coastline is always a gamble. The view is beautiful, the opportunity is huge, but nature keeps her own schedule, and eventually she always collects. Indianola learned that the hardest way imaginable. Number 5, Lobo. Okay, imagine this for a second. You're scrolling online one night looking at real estate just for fun, and you stumble across a listing for an entire town. Not a house, not a ranch, a whole town for sale. Sounds impossible, right? Well, it actually happened, and the town was Lobo. Lobo is a tiny windswept spot in far west Texas, sitting out in some of the most remote, sun-baked desert you'll ever see. For a while, it survived on farming, cotton and crops pulled from the dry land with the help of well water. People lived here, worked here, built a small, quiet life out in the middle of nowhere. But the desert is a hard place to make a living. Eventually, the water in the farming economy dried up, the jobs disappeared, and one by one the families left. Then in 1991, the very last residents packed up and walked away. Just like that, Lobo became a true ghost town, completely empty. And what's left behind is genuinely haunting. An old grocery store frozen in time, a vacant motel with empty rooms, a scatter of crumbling buildings standing alone under an enormous desert sky with nothing but wind and silence for miles. But here's the fascinating twist that makes Lobo special. Around 2001, a small group of desert-loving adventurers actually bought the entire town. They turned it into an offbeat retreat, even hosting music gatherings out in the empty desert. And in recent years, the town was reportedly listed for sale again for around $100,000. That's right, you could own a ghost town for the price of a small house. So here's a genuinely unique takeaway from Lobo. Ghost towns aren't always dead ends. Some of them get bought, revived, and reborn by people bold enough to live exactly where everyone else gave up. Sometimes the end of one story is just the start of another. Number 6, Bluffton. Now this one might be the strangest ghost town in all of Texas, because most of the time you can't even see it. Why? Because old Bluffton is underwater. Yes, you heard that right. An entire town, resting silently at the bottom of a lake. Let's rewind. Old Bluffton sat in the beautiful Texas Hill Country near the Colorado River, just northeast of the town of Llano. It was a peaceful little farming community, homes, a cotton gin, a cemetery, regular folks living regular lives along the riverbank. Nothing about it seemed doomed. But then came the dam. In 1937, engineers completed the massive Buchanan Dam, built to tame the wild Colorado River and create power and water for the region. And when they closed that dam, the river backed up and slowly began to rise. And rise, and rise. The water crept over the fields, over the roads, and finally over the town itself. Old Bluffton was swallowed whole by the newly formed Lake Buchanan. Today, the ruins of Bluffton normally rest under about 30 feet of water, completely hidden from the world above. Boaters glide right over the top of it, with no idea there's a drowned town beneath them. But here's the eerie, almost spooky payoff. During severe droughts, when the lake level drops dangerously low, Old Bluffton rises back from the dead. The old foundations reappear. An abandoned gas station emerges from the mud. Even the cemetery comes back into view. And when that happens, explorers and locals rush out to walk the streets of a town that only exists when the water disappears. Think about how haunting that is. A place that vanishes and returns depending on the weather. Most ghost towns just sit there waiting. Bluffton plays a slow game of hide and seek with the living, surfacing just long enough to remind us it was ever there at all. Number 7, Medicine Mound. This next town carries something the others don't, a name rooted in something ancient and holy. Medicine Mound sits in northern Texas near the Red River, and to truly understand it, you have to look at the land before the town ever existed. Towering nearby are 4 cone-shaped hills known as the Medicine Mounds. To the Comanche people, these hills were deeply spiritual, a sacred place believed to hold powerful healing energy. Long before any settler arrived, this was holy ground, treated with reverence and respect. Then in 1909, the modern world rolled in, literally, when the railroad extended its line through the area. A town sprang up almost immediately, taking its name from those sacred hills. And for a while, Medicine Mound thrived. At its peak, it boasted around 22 businesses and a population of about 500 people. Stores, a school, a busy little main street, a real working community out on the Texas plains. But Medicine Mound's downfall came in one fiery, devastating moment. In 1933, a fire broke out, and it tore through the entire business district, burning the heart of the town right out of it. For a small town with limited resources, a blow like that is almost impossible to recover from. The economy collapsed, families drifted away searching for work elsewhere, and the town never bounced back. Today, the population of Medicine Mound sits at essentially zero. What remains are a few distinctive stone buildings, rebuilt out of local rock after that terrible fire. Quiet, sturdy little monuments standing alone beneath the shadow of those ancient hills. And there's something poetic about it, isn't there? The town lived and died in just a few short decades, but the sacred mounds behind it have stood for thousands of years, and they'll still be standing long after every trace of the town is gone. Some things the land simply outlasts. Number 8, Belle Plaine. Some towns die because of bad luck. Belle Plaine died because of a series of decisions, and one by one it watched everything it had built slip away. In its heyday, back in the late 1800s, Belle Plaine was no nobody. It was the county seat of Callahan County, meaning it was the official, important center of the whole region. Government business flowed through it. People came from miles around to handle legal matters, file paperwork, and do trade. Being the county seat made Belle Plaine matter, and it didn't stop there. In 1881, the town founded Belle Plaine College, and this was something special. The college reportedly housed the largest music program in the entire region, drawing students and culture into a town way out on the rugged Texas frontier. For a brief shining moment, Belle Plaine had it all: power, education, ambition, and a real sense of a bright future. Then the dominoes started to fall, and they fell fast. First, the railroad bypassed the town. And as we've seen again and again on this list, when the railroad skips you in Old Texas, you're in serious trouble. Next, the prized title of county seat was taken away and moved to another town. With its importance gone and travelers rolling right past, the lifeblood of Belle Plaine simply drained out. Without those vital connections, even the college couldn't survive. Belle Plaine College closed its doors in 1892, and by then the town was essentially abandoned. The dream was over almost as quickly as it began. Today, if you go looking, you can still find the crumbling ruins of the college dean's home, standing quietly in an open field, stone walls slowly being reclaimed by the prairie. And the lesson echoes through this entire list, loud and clear. In Old Texas, lose the railroad or lose the county seat, and you lose the town. Belle Plaine lost both. Number 9, Toyah. Not every ghost town dies in one dramatic blow. No fire, no flood, no hurricane. Some towns die the slow way, fading a little more with each passing year. And the haunting thing about Toyah is that you can still watch it happening right now. Toyah is one of the oldest towns in the Permian Basin region of West Texas, and like so many on this list, it owes its entire existence to one thing: the railroad. When the trains came through, Toyah grew up fast around them. It became a busy little hub, a place where the railroad meant jobs, travelers, and money. And for a while, it worked beautifully. At its peak in the 1940s, Toyah was home to more than 460 residents. It had a bank, a busy school, stores, and the steady rhythm of a real functioning town. People built lives here. They expected it to last. But slowly, quietly, the world moved on. The railroad's importance faded, the jobs thinned out, and one family at a time, people began to leave, chasing work in bigger places that still had a future. The decline wasn't sudden. It was a slow bleed that lasted decades. Here's the number that really lands it. By the 2020 census, Toyah's population had withered all the way down to just 61 people, from over 460 to barely 60. Drive through Toyah today and you'll find an eerie in-between place. Not quite alive, not quite dead. A hollowed-out brick bank with empty windows. A crumbling old schoolhouse slowly falling in on itself. Weeds pushing through cracked sidewalks. And yet, there's still a working post office and a small handful of stubborn holdouts who simply refuse to leave. Toyah is a living, breathing example of a hard truth. A town doesn't always die all at once. Sometimes it just fades. One family, one empty house, one quiet year at a time. Number 10, Independence. We've saved the most surprising story for last, because this isn't just a town that died, it's a town that quietly gave birth to a giant and then faded into the background while that giant went on to change Texas forever. Welcome to Independence. Travel back to the 1850s, and this place is absolutely thriving. It's a bustling educational and religious center. Surrounded by rich, productive cotton plantations, money flows in. Churches and schools rise up. This is a town with culture, importance, and serious momentum. But here's the jaw-dropping part, the detail almost nobody knows. Independence was the original home of Baylor University. That's right, one of the biggest, most famous universities in all of Texas didn't start in Waco, where it sits today. It was born right here, in this now empty little town. Picture students walking these streets, classes filling these grounds, a whole future taking shape. So what happened? The same brutal pattern we've seen over and over. Baylor University relocated, packing up and moving to Waco. And then the final nail, the railroad bypassed Independence, cutting off its connection to the growing world around it. With the university gone and the trains rolling somewhere else, the town slowly emptied out. Today, the reported population of Independence is around just 4 people. 4. A town that once helped launch a university now has fewer residents than a typical dinner table. But here's the beautiful part. Unlike most ghost towns, Independence aged into something genuinely stunning. The proud stone columns of Old Baylor still stand on the hillside, weathered but unbroken. And every spring, the surrounding fields explode with Texas bluebonnets, drawing photographers and visitors from across the state. It's the perfect note to end on. Living proof that even a town the world walked away from can leave behind something truly worth coming back for. Independence didn't just vanish, it planted a seed. So there you have it, 10 Texas towns that nobody lives in anymore, each one holding a story written in dust, water, fire, and wind. Think back over the journey we just took. A town poisoned by the very metal that made it rich. A company town of 10,000 people that got switched off like a light bulb. A glamorous Route 66 stop killed by a highway built just a little too far away. A booming port city erased by 2 hurricanes. An entire town you could literally buy for the price of a house. A community resting at the bottom of a lake, rising only when the drought allows. And the cradle of a great university, now home to just 4 people. When you put them all together, a powerful pattern emerges, doesn't it? These towns didn't usually die because the people were weak or the land was worthless. They died because the world shifted around them. The railroad moved, the highway bypassed them, the industry changed, the water rose, and in the blink of an eye, a thriving community became a memory in the sand. There's something humbling in that. Every one of these places was once somebody's home, somebody's hometown, filled with laughter, hard work, dreams, and big plans, just like the place you live right now. And that's the quiet lesson these ghost towns leave behind. Nothing is permanent. Everything we build is, in some way, borrowed from time. But here's the beautiful flip side. These towns aren't truly gone, not as long as someone remembers them, not as long as someone tells their story. And right now, by watching this video all the way through, you've helped keep them alive. So the next time you drive past a forgotten little town, slow down. Look closer. Because every empty street out there once had a heartbeat.